Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. My name is Gina or Lakshmi, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. We are going to talk about a topic that is relevant for the current times. So I think it was yesterday or today, the sun moved, no, it was a couple days ago, the sun moved. And as the sun moves through the zodiac in India, there's different months or energies that are associated with particular months. And so this month is called Aadhi month, at least in southern India, the Tamil area. And what this signifies is a heightened energy for goddess, a heightened energy for divine feminine. And so then what we do is look inside of this month and see what other power times exist that can then have more goddess energy. So that's a real simple way to look at it. I'm not going to get into the details. I believe Sucharita did a more in-depth webinar on it, but today we're going to just walk through how Shreem Brzee can be enhanced and you can receive more benefit inside of this what's called Aadhi month or goddess month. And it starts July 16th. I think it's July 16th through August 15th. So let's take a look. Automatically, we always have certain power times inside of, that we celebrate or we look towards for Shreem Brzee. Fridays are one of them. Why? Because Fridays are ruled by Venus. Venus is the planet that gives us material pleasures and sense pleasures. And that planet, Venus, happens to be ruled by Goddess Lakshmi. The overlord is it's called is Goddess Lakshmi. And so when we have Fridays inside of this Aadhi month, it's called Aadhi Veli or Aadhi Fridays, Goddess Fridays. And this is another power time that lets us tap into Shreem Brzee. So bottom line is Fridays, starting today, since it's a Friday, for the next 4 Fridays, are very powerful times, heightened times for your Shreem Brzee practice. So if you weren't doing Shreem Brzee on a Friday, now is definitely the time to start doing that every Friday, but more importantly, the Fridays during this month, you want to be doing extra Shreem Brzees and tapping into the goddess as much as you possibly can. Okay, next we have the new moon, and that happens on July 20th. Now, when the new moon falls inside of this very powerful month, it's another exceptional power time to be doing ancestor offerings. We've talked about this before, so if you need the instructions, just look up my video that I did where it's helping to remove blocks from your ancestors. Why is this important to Shreem Brzee? Because we are influenced by our ancestors. Our ancestors are sending us messages, giving us thoughts, having us be influenced in a certain way for maybe what it is they have desires that are unfulfilled in the earth plane. So this new moon is one of the most powerful times of the entire year to be making offerings to your ancestors in order to remove the blocks that are preventing your success. Remove the blocks that are preventing you from becoming abundant. Maybe they have hang-ups, they have issues that have taken, from life to life, and now it's being passed on to us, not only through our DNA, but energetically for when they're not in a body and sending us messages influence. So very, very important, July 20th for you. It's called Aadhi AMAVASYA or Aadhi or goddess full moon and new moon. AMAVASYA means new moon. And it's a very powerful time to do your ancestor offerings. So what do you want to do? That day, you want to make sure you perform rituals. You can also purchase and sponsor experts to do it on your behalf. I always do both. So there's big, in Palai Center, we have some big ceremonies happening in India where the experts, the specialists, the priests can be performing it on your behalf. So you want to be able to take advantage of that if that's something you'd like to do. Next, we have what's called Naga Chaturthi or Naga PANCHAMI, and it is 2 days. And Naga is snake or serpent. And why is this important to Shreem Brzee? Well, if you remember, the Shreem Brzee goddess has those 3 snakes coming up over her head. And Dr. Pillai explained how that was significant. He received it in a divine reading that this particular Lakshmi, Shreem Brzee Lakshmi, should have those snakes. Why? Because snakes can remove and withdraw poison. Now they can also give it, right? So any being or archetype that can give something can also take it away. It's kind of like Ganesha. He can give you obstacles. He can also take them away. Snakes can give you poison, but they can take them away. So for our purposes, we pray to the archetype who can remove the negativity, remove what's blocking us. And in this case, a poison. And what is poison? Poison can be any form of negativity that is stopping you from something. I mean, negative mindset, it can be a curse from somebody else. It can be negative energies or influences from your own mind, from other people, from ancestors, right? From anything. Just think of any ways in which there's a poison is something that is toxic to us. So it can be energetically toxic, mentally toxic, physically toxic. And those things are really important because why? They affect us. They affect our ability to manifest. They affect our ability to think clearly. They affect our ability to achieve successes, right? We're trying to live a life here that gives us a 200% life, spiritual and material. But these poisons, these toxins can get into our relationships, can get into our health, can get into our mind, can get into our spiritual practices. It's something you don't want to dismiss. Sometimes people are like, oh, I'm just going to be positive. I'm not going to think about that. Well, just because you're not thinking about that doesn't mean there isn't some impact on you around some sort of poison or toxicity in your life. This is why I actually like to participate in this ritual. And it's, to me, I'm not like necessarily drawn to snakes like some people are, or serpents, but I always participate in this ritual that we do in India because actually, a couple years ago, I did it and I kind of forgot about it. I registered and I forgot about it. And then the day arrived where the ceremony was being done and I didn't think about it. I had totally forgotten. I had this elated feeling. I just felt like so good. And I felt like something had like lifted off me. And then I looked at the calendar and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I received the email with the confirmation that the rituals had been performed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I felt it. I don't always feel them, but this one I did. And so now I'm kind of addicted. I usually always register for that one. So the Naga Chaturthi, Naga PANCHAMI, or the serpent snake kind of curse removal ceremonies, if you want, you can participate in those in India as well. If not, then that is a really good day to just be in prayer to these nagas or these serpents. They're divine beings who have embodied into the form of a snake. They're not gods necessarily, but they're divine beings who can help us. And so you'll want to pray that day. Pray to the nagas, pray to these serpents and how they can remove your poison. Ask them to remove your poison in any area. And if you know you have a particular toxicity in something in your life, then you want to get very specific about it. But if you don't, you can be general. You can just say like, please remove this aspect. Okay, so that's July 23rd and 24th of this month. Then we move to the following week, which, remember, Fridays. This is also a very special Friday. It's called Varalakshmi VRATA, or the boon-bestowing Lakshmi. Varalakshmi is the boon-bestowing Lakshmi. So if there's something that you really want in your life, this is a Lakshmi you go to, and it's like, yeah, this one thing, like I'm really just wanting this one thing. She's the goddess. And so on this particular day, it also happens to be on a Friday, so super powerful. You want to make extra special prayers, especially to this boon-bestowing Lakshmi, where you're asking her for something specific. So for example, maybe there's a particular project you want in your life to work out. Maybe there's a particular relationship. Maybe there's something you've always wanted. Maybe it's a spiritual gift as well. It can be anything with Lakshmi. So you want to make a special prayer on this day, and that's July 31st. We also have ceremonies that are being performed for this particular goddess, the boon-bestowing Lakshmi. We also have a ceremony that's going to be performed by our English-speaking priest Premaraja, who is fabulous. If some of you have experienced him, you know what I mean. He's going to be doing a guided fire lab on that particular day. And it's always really nice with him. It's intimate. It's, you know, this small setting. You get online, you get to view it. He speaks through it in English. So that's always fun. So that's another way you can engage. And then we get to the full moon in August, which is always a powerful time. So there's nothing, there's nothing else I could really say, I think, other than this, the added benefit of the full moon, as well as this Aadhi month, is bringing us additional power, additional energy, additional blessings. And that's it. Those are the sessions that are, those are the elements, the events that I wanted to mention so that you can take advantage of those. Now, I like to just take it up a notch into a higher level in terms of how the energies of these festivals or events kind of works through the next few months. So right now we're in the month of Aadhi. We have this goddess energy. Then we move into August, and August 21st is Ganesha's birthday. So we have a huge celebration, and then energy leading up to Ganesha's, preparations for Ganesha. Palai Center is going to be doing daily chanting. We're going to give you lots of free stuff to engage in, so just keep a lookout for that. And then after the Ganesha's birthday, like this kind of all this energy's building up to removing obstacles. It's his biggest day of the entire year. Then we move into what's called Mahalaya, which is a 15-day period of ancestor offerings. It's the most powerful time to remove your ancestor blockages. And then after that goes into 9 nights of the goddess, Navaratri, so the goddess energy again. So you can see there's like, it's a very powerful around 4 months happening between now and I think it's October, where we're going to be immersed in many different timely events, timely energy. So we'll be here telling you all about them as we go along, but just want to kind of kick it off with the update today regarding Aadhi and this month and why it's so powerful. So I'll take any questions that you may have now. And I don't know why this turns green. So weird. I don't know. Okay. Okay. So any questions on chat, I will be happy to take them. Any special happening now? Yeah. So there's on PalaiCenter.com. If you go into our specials tab, there's all kinds of events that are happening that I just mentioned, the significant ones. And then there's always usually early birds. Like for example, Ganesha's birthday, there's early bird offers in preparation to the birthday that you can register for. I think they expire in the beginning of August. So you'll want to take a look, and we do send emails on that. So make sure you're on our email list, PalaiCenter.com. All right. Any questions? How this month is going to enhance your Shreem Brzee practice? Don't see any yet. On July 19th, do we do more tarpanams than usual? Yes. So I like to do, especially on these big ones, I try to do 108 tarpanams. It's a lot. It takes a while, but if you can't do that, just up your game, right? Like if you're doing it once, do it 3 or 9 or even 27 times. But yeah, so all you do is, and you can see my video where I gave the demonstration. Do that one time, you rinse it off. Do it again. You're just repeating it over and over. And you can actually do it a few times throughout the day. You just want to make sure that it's daylight. It's not nighttime when you perform it. On the 20th, what kind of rituals can you do? You should do the ancestor offering. You should do the tarpanam because it's a new moon. Question is, chanting silently is okay? Yes, absolutely. Dr. Pillai will fluctuate between chanting out loud and chanting silently in terms of like his recommendations and inside of courses. So what he typically says is that when you're chanting outwardly, you're bringing the vibration into the body and into the environment. And then when you're going, which is great, but then when you're going silently, you're making it more and more subtle, which is what you want. You want to get it into like the very subtle energies of your entire body. Silent. I always chant silently. It's my favorite. Is there special chanting now? No, so starting August 1st is when we're going to start the chanting to Ganesha. And we'll be sending, I think we sent an email, well, I don't remember if we sent the email yet or not, but we will if we haven't, and it'll give you an opportunity to get reminders, so you can do that as well. And Dr. Pillai will be hosting a webinar on August 9th for Ganesha. So that'll be totally free and available to everybody. What do you do to get the most from a yantra? You work with it. You can pray with, you can hold it and meditate with it. Dr. Pillai has given a technique for that. Make offerings to it, and you're energizing it. Of course, when we mail them out, they're already energized in some sort of ritual or rituals. And then when you receive them, you want to keep that energy going. I won't get into the full details. There's a whole puja that you can do to it, or you can just hydrate it on a regular basis. Okay, Mitch is asking a question. I've been chanting Shreem Brzee for a long time, but I've not seen any significant, tangible results. Is Shreem Brzee working behind the scenes? Yes. So Shreem Brzee is always working. It works more potently when we have faith in it, right? So first of all, I honor you for not giving up your faith and for not giving up your chanting, even though you may not have seen some results. We also don't know what would have happened if you weren't chanting, right? Like, so maybe you didn't get that new job, but maybe you didn't lose the current job, right? So we don't know, because Shreem Brzee is working on top of your blueprint, right? Like who you are, your karma. And it has to work on top of that because it's who we are. Now, everyone has a different blueprint. So someone may have like a blueprint, and when I say blueprint, I mean like an imprint of who we are, our karmic tendencies. What comes easiest to us or hard to us is what we've come into this life with, whether it's astrology or ancestors or past life influences. And I've done some videos on these too. So when you come into your birth with a particular energy, this is your blueprint. And so Shreem Brzee is working on top of this. Any mantra is working on top of this. So you may have some more stuck energies in the area of material comforts, financial blessings, but Shreem Brzee is still working. It's never not working. Dr. Pillai said the only time it doesn't work is when you forget to do it. So the fact that you're doing it is amazing. Keep doing it. And sometimes we actually don't know what has happened. We can't, it's hard to acknowledge maybe what has occurred for us. So for example, like I said, maybe you didn't get a new job, but you didn't lose your current job. And if you hadn't been chanting, maybe you would have, because we don't know what karma would have been playing out. So everyone's karma is playing out in their own way. Shreem Brzee is always working as long as you're chanting it. So please just don't give up hope. Now, if you love the mantra, keep doing that. If you're feeling like it's just you're doing it out of obligation or because you want to get something out of it, then maybe try another mantra that you can feel more joy from or create more energy around. So you don't have to stick with Shreem Brzee, is what I'm saying. But you should love it and you should enjoy doing it, and it should be something that that brings you up regardless. So even if you didn't get like a tangible result, maybe you feel happier, maybe you have more fulfilling relationships, maybe your health is improved, right? You could see other results come through that aren't necessarily financial just yet, because maybe your financial karma is a little more stuck than some of your other karma. And Shreem Brzee is going to work at those other karmas, and those can break up easier. It's kind of like if you have a really packed in layer of dirt, let's say, and then, you know, in another area of the floor is one that's not quite as packed in. So when you wash over the whole thing, the stuff that's not packed in is going to come clean a little faster, but this other area is going to need some scrubbing. So that's where you might see results in different areas depending upon your karmic imprint, depending upon how much karma you have in that particular area. I hope that makes sense. If we want to order the Shreem Brzee statue, how should we do it? Unfortunately, our India office is not mailing right now due to COVID. I'm very sorry about that. We can't mail. As soon as it's open, we'll let you know, because we have all these wonderful things like the Shreem Brzee mala, the statues, the yantras. Can we chant? It might be open for the India. You can check, if you're in India, you can check online, PalaiCenter.com, and this search for yantra or statue or whatever you're looking for. And if it's enabled, then we can mail it to you. If it's not enabled, then we can't mail it to you. If we want to do 9 times with coconut, do we need 9 coconuts? You can do either or. You can do 1 coconut and just roll it around and put your intentions into it for, let's say, 9 different things. You can do that. Or if you have the means, 9 coconuts are always better because more is better in that sense. Can we chant all day in mind Shreem Brzee while doing other work? Absolutely. Absolutely. So Shreem Brzee also helps deal with karma. Yes. Dr. Ply mentioned this on the wealth workshop that we did about a month or so ago, or 2 months ago. He mentioned how Brzee specifically is for removing karma. So you definitely want, and then obviously you're doing Shreem Brzee, it's both Shreem and Brzee. And so this is relieving your karma as well as giving you prosperity. So definitely like a 200% mantra, giving you removal of karma, manifesting both inner and outer abundance. Which time is perfect for Shreem Brzee on a daily basis? Every day, every minute is perfect for Shreem Brzee. Now, if you want to kind of go into a little more power times of the day, before sunrise, Brahma Muhurta time in your time zone is very, very powerful. Also, Venus Horas, the Venus hour. If you don't know what that is, you can look that up on Astrobed's Hora Watch or Astrobed Assistance app. And then you can put in your information and find out when that is every day. If I want to dance joyfully while singing Shreem Brzee, yes, absolutely. So I love this because you want to bring joy into your practice. You want to bring happiness. You want to bring passion. So if you are singing and dancing joyfully while chanting and singing Shreem Brzee, by all means do that, because you're pulling that energy up, that creative, joyful goddess energy. And this is really what you want to embody. And that's going to help you a lot. Here's another good question. Is karma related to time? They had a reading that stated my financial karma will be strong from now until 2022, but things will be good. Yes. So astrology is based on time. Time is the playing out of our karma. And so, yes, I definitely suggest getting astrology readings. I prefer Vedic astrology readings because they give remedies and they give results. And this will help you see what time periods in your life are more susceptible to certain challenges or more susceptible to certain benefits and ease. And you want to take advantage of that. So if it's maybe my financial karma is not so great right now, but it's going to be in a couple of years, but I should be focusing on spiritual, because that's what's going to help me at the moment, or what's going to be easiest. Maybe have a planet that's aligning to help me have more deeper meditations. Okay, I know the financial thing isn't going to quite work out like I want at the moment. Let me focus on my spiritual. And then in 2 years from now, when that opens up, I can go back to focusing in on maybe building a business. So it's very useful to know how time and astrology can play out, and how we can use that as traveling the path of least resistance. So important, because you don't want to swim upstream. You don't want to be trying to do something that is just not going to work for you. Doesn't mean don't do anything. It just means knowing that may be challenging. You have to do extra effort or divert your attention to something that is easier at this moment. See if I missed anything. Sometimes I feel a bit afraid to do Sharpanam. Could it bring some bad energies from ancestors, even if we do it on a daytime? You might receive, if you're very psychic, you might receive messages from them. It should not bring bad energy, because you're asking them to move on. You're giving them the opportunity to move into the light and to be blessed and to bless you. So it should not bring any bad energies. Some people have performed it and maybe heard from them a little bit more than they wanted to. So that's something that might happen to you. If you feel uncomfortable, then just don't do it. You could try it and then see what happens. And then if it's uncomfortable for you, then that maybe it's something you won't do. Can Shreem Brzee overwrite astrology readings? Yes and no. See, anything that we do meaning our practices, Shreem Brzee, another mantra, rituals, all of that is a way for us to change our destiny. The astrology reading is our destiny laid out in a map, right? This is where we're born into this particular this imprint that we have in our astrology, and then it plays out over our life. Now, Dr. Ply says you shouldn't just sit there and like let things happen to you, but you should also know what this predisposition is like, this destiny is like. Now, Shreem Brzee, the rituals can override that to a certain degree. It takes faith, it takes commitment, it takes probably not just chanting, but also some other remedies that you could perform. So yes and no, right? Like we know that this is happening. It's a pretty strong imprint, but we're going to do our practices anyway to help maybe resolve issues faster or overcome some certain challenges that are presented, because we don't want to go, we could have had maybe a more negative experience if we hadn't done our rituals, hadn't done our Shreem Brzee. Some questions about who's allowed to do Tarpanam. Dr. Pillai does not subscribe to the orthodox or traditional theory that you can't do it if you're a woman, or you can't do it if your parents are alive. You should follow whatever tradition you feel comfortable with. But in Dr. Pillai's philosophy and teachings, that anyone can perform it, and it's to help your ancestors move on. And the ceremony is quite simple, and I've done another video on that. Someone said, I'm using Varahi mantra and chanting Ganesha beforehand, and it's giving me amazing results. Super. See, this is a great way of figuring out like which mantras you really love and doing them together to generate something that's really positive for you. Waking up early, definitely. So really ideally, if you get your practices in before the sunrise, that is considered the most powerful time. It's also very quiet energetically, and we can connect more deeper to the divine beings, and they're more available to us. All right, so I am not going to get into some of these other questions. There's other topics that are questions, so I've done other videos on those. You can check those out, but I wanted to stick to really what our topic is here today. So, okay, here's the question. Is it possible and realistic for everyone to become a millionaire with Shreem Brzee, even if some people have a life imprint that is very bad financial karma? You always have to deal with your karma. So one of the things that Dr. Pillai says is money's not going to fall off the roof, and you have to deal with your predisposed karma. But that doesn't mean you can't become a millionaire. It doesn't mean you can't achieve what you want. You just have to work extra hard at it. It's going to be a little more effortful, let's say, for someone who has really bad karma than it is for someone who doesn't. If you spent the last few lifetimes, let's say, focusing on Shreem Brzee or other mantras or doing rituals that help alleviate your financial karma, and you come into this lifetime and it's not so bad, or things are coming to you easily, that means that's one scenario. But if that's not you, if you've come into this life and it's like financial challenge after another, that means you have to work harder in this life. Doesn't mean it won't happen. It could be that you're working really hard, so next lifetime it works out. It could be that you're working really hard and this lifetime it works out. So not to be discouraging, but it just means the more kind of negative karma or weighted karma you have, the more you have to do. And so that should hopefully motivate you to do more and to challenge, right? Like if you take it on as a challenge, like, no, I'm not going to let this bring me down. I'm going to achieve these results. But that's not going to happen just by wishing it happens, right? Your karma is not going to change just because you wished it would. It's going to change because you make an action towards that. And that action is Shreem Brzee. That action is the rituals. That action is everything that we're teaching you to do. I did a 3-part workshop on techniques on how to remove your karma, right? So like, watch that, do the techniques, do the chanting, make the commitment. That's where you're going to see the results. Okay, so awesome. I love that. Just be committed. Be committed. That's the best thing you can do. And then the goddess, and open your heart. Open your heart to Shreem Brzee, the mantra. Open your heart to Shreem Brzee, the goddess, to Lakshmi. If you just like literally and figuratively fall at her feet and ask her for blessings and ask her for her guidance, then, you know, I wear this Lakshmi, you bring her with you everywhere, and you have a relationship with her. You ask her to grant you boons, right? The Varalakshmi, the boon bestowing. You on a regular basis, daily basis, are working on it, right? But it shouldn't feel like work. It should feel like play. It should feel like stuff you want to do, and that's where the beauty and the passion, the love, the joy, the dancing, the singing can come into play. All right. Okay, question: money karma and non-money karma removal, respectively, Shreem Brzee or tyranny Lakundam. This there's a few karma removal mantras that Dr. Ply has given, and Shreem Brzee or Brzee is one of them. Tyranny Lakundam is another one, and there's some others I won't get into. You pick whichever you feel most drawn to. Okay, you pick whatever you feel most drawn to. So if you're feeling like you really love Tyranny Lakundam, do that mantra. If you're feeling like you really love Brzee and that's feeling like it's removing karma, do that one. There's no hard and fast rules about how this goes. It's more a personal relationship. I like to do mantras that I love because, first of all, then I'm going to do them more often, and doing them more often is better than doing something you think you should do. Okay. Okay. By the way, people are posting questions. I'm only going to answer questions that are relevant to everyone and not like personal in the sense of, you know, a very specific thing. I would like to address things that are for multiple folks. Okay, so there's another question about Tarpanam. Goes back to the same answer, which is, you know, you follow your tradition. Dr. Ply does not subscribe to the Orthodox or tradition of if your parents are alive or not alive, whether you should do it or not, but you should do what's comfortable for you. What are the signs you should look out for to know if one's life is changing? This is an interesting question, because the easy answer would be, well, your life would be changing. You should notice it, right? But so many times we don't notice it because we're so entrenched in our life. And actually so many times people have made changes but didn't realize it because like it was over a period of time. Like my sister, for example, she was like, you know, I was doing this thing. I don't know if it worked. And I was like, what do you mean? Over the past year, you had a legal issue that was resolved with the best possible outcome. You had a successful surgery with no problems. You had, you know, you lost weight. Like these 3 big life changes happened to her in a year. And she's like, I don't know if it worked, because I'd given her a practice to do. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, look at it. So sometimes we just have to, sometimes we need other people to assess. And if we don't have someone else to have that conversation with, what I recommend is that you write down. So maybe every month, in the 1st of the month or the 15th or whatever works best for you, maybe the full moon or a new moon, you write down like kind of the state of your life. And in the areas that mean the most to you, relationships, health, finances, happiness, spiritual progress, right? Like make some categories and then just be like, where am I at with my finances? Literally, what does your bank account look like? Literally, what is, you know, what do you have for comforts, home, car, ability to pay the bills, income that's coming in, debt, right? Like just write it out. And then next, relationships. Like in the significant relationships with people. So for example, maybe your significant other, your spouse, your children, your friends, like what's the general state of your relation? You can even rank them. Next would be your health. Like in areas of your health, you feel like, you're achieving your results. So weight, eating habits, exercise habits, strength, right? Like, again, assessing. So you get the idea, right? You're putting on paper the assessment of the areas of your life that mean most to you, and to give yourself accountability, important word, accountability for what they look like. And then you're checking back in the following month to see what has changed. Because sometimes we just don't know, right? Sometimes we just are not tracking it. And this will give you an idea of what's changing and what's not. Now, you should also be tracking what your practice look like, right? Like, am I chanting every day? Am I meditating? Am I praying? Right, praying for other people? Like, what does your practice look like? Are you doing pujas or rituals, things like that? So this is a way for us to track assessment. So I really would like for you to be able to do that. All right. Should I avoid non-veg food while continuing chanting Shreem Brzee? Good question. Dr. Pillai does not give recommendations on food intake because he understands every physical body is different. And sometimes people need non-veg and some people don't. He does, however, recommend that if you do vegetarian food, it does help you spiritually. It does help your body process less dense energy and matter. Meat is a dense energy and it's a dense matter, like physically being able to be processed by the body. So when you don't eat meat, when you're eating vegetarian, you have more energy, both physically and spiritually. So that's that. However, it's not for everybody. Vegetarianism is not for everybody. Some people need meat to have strength, or need meat to be grounded. So you have to work what's best for you. Fran says, I manifested a house and I didn't put together the practice and materialization for about 3 months. People might think that's crazy. I was grateful in love with it, but didn't realize it was what I visualized. Yeah, exactly. And you hit a key point there, Fran, which is visual. Like, creating a vision boards are also a lot of fun because you're putting your mental desires into a physical form, which then you can look at. It actually retrains the brain. And that's why there's been more miracles that can happen through vision boarding or visioning. And very important, again, to track it. Because you want to, I like the tracking thing is important because you want to acknowledge your practice, like acknowledge that it worked. And then also for you to feel more fulfilled, like that this is happening. And then you have more confidence in yourself and the practice and the manifestation abilities. So we really, really want to be tracking these. And one of my favorite quotes that I don't know if it's a quote or if I just made it up, but it's like, every miracle counts, and count every miracle. Like, it's just so important for us on a daily basis to be acknowledging the miracles that are happening in our lives, the manifestations that are happening in our life, to hone in on them and then give them the value and the weight that they're worth. Yeah, so there's a question about will clearing my debts with my ancestors help my child at the same time since they're the same ancestors on my side? Yes. That's the benefit of doing these ancestor offerings. Those who are in your kind of realm, it can even be your siblings and your children, they have the same lineage as you, are also benefiting because those ancestors are leaving. They're leaving, going into higher realms. They're no longer kind of attaching themselves to those of us on the earth plane. Super. All right, folks, I think I'll wrap it up now. These have been some really good questions. Thank you so much for tuning in. There's a question about numbers. Dr. Pillai doesn't really talk so much about that in terms of the synchronicities of the numbers, but if that means something for you, then you should go for it. There was a question that I will answer now. It was more of a personal question, and this person asked about, there was a bird that died, and is it a sacrifice? Dr. Pillai has talked about how, yes, when a being, an animal, a bird, or something dies, whether by your own hand, maybe you ran it over or hit it with your car accidentally, maybe it was in your space or your yard and it died, that can be considered a sacrifice, that it gave its life for you in order for you to overcome a certain challenge. Now, what we want to do is just honor it and lay it to rest somewhere, like bury it or do whatever is appropriate. If it's on the side of the road, maybe you just say a prayer, right? But praying for it and allowing it to kind of have done its duty for you and really taking that to heart and being grateful is where you kind of where you want to be. So I hope that's that helps. Namika, I think that's your name. Any other questions? I'm seeing these numbers as well. I really can't speak to the numbers. I think it's fabulous and that you can really kind of attune it to your own meaning. Like this is a divine message from, God, or it can be used as an omen. But and if you want to learn a little bit more about numerology, you can, to see like, because typically what happens is in numerology, you add up the numbers that are being displayed and then that gives the significance of it. All right. To summarize the concept of karma, is karma just refers to our thoughts, thought patterns, or mindset, or more than that? Yeah, so karma is so there's all these karmic influences that can have an effect on us, which I've done other videos on. And those are your ancestors and your astrology and your current life and your past life and your actions, all of this stuff, right? That's like kind of the floaters. And then how do you know what that is? It's like it manifests in the form of your thoughts, your mindset, and then your life, the situation in your life. So you're like, how do I know what my karma is? Well, your karma is what you're currently living out. It's like, look around. What are my relationships, my bank account, my health? That's your karma. To change your karma, you change your thoughts, right? All right. So thank you all for joining. This was fun. I really appreciate the questions and comments. So tune in next week. We'll be here again, 11 a.m. Pacific. And this weekend, I will also be doing on Shreem Brzee official Instagram. It's at noon live. We'll be doing a guided meditation with Mount Shasta. I'm in Mount Shasta at the moment, and that will kind of give you a little connection to this totally divine space. So I will see you then. Thank you for tuning in. Lots of love. Remember Shreem Brzee, Aadhi Fridays for the next 4 weeks. So you really, really want to just up your Shreem Brzee game. Do Shreem Brzee all the time. Play that mantra as much as you can on repeat 24/7. Maybe just for this month, you give yourself a challenge, which is like, I'm going to play Shreem Brzee 24/7 from today for the next 4 weeks. Like just give yourself a little challenge to do. Also join the Shreem Brzee Facebook group where we do have actual challenges, mantra challenges happening every month, and they shift to kind of keep things interesting. So it's a really great community to be part of. And I'll see you soon. Namaste.